Do you feel shy when speaking English? Do you understand everything but still stay silent? You're not alone. I was like you, but something changed. I found a way to speak confidently. Comment below if you've ever frozen during a conversation. Let me tell you my story, step by step, so you can speak too. Chapter 1. The Silence Before Speaking. In the beginning, I could not speak. I understood some words, but I stayed silent. I was afraid. I wanted to speak, but I could not open my mouth. My heart beat fast, my hands shook, my voice disappeared. I looked around and everyone else was talking in English. They sounded confident. I felt small. People asked me questions, simple questions, like, "How are you?" or "Where are you from?" I knew the answers, but I could not say the words. My mind went blank. My lips stayed closed. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I just smiled. I nodded. And then I walked away. At home, I felt angry. Why couldn't I speak? I knew the words in my head. I had studied them. I had memorized them. But still, I could not speak. I felt like I was locked in a cage, a silent cage. I could hear English. I could read English. But I could not speak English. It hurt. I watched people speaking fluently, on YouTube, in the classroom, on the street. They talked fast. They smiled. They laughed. I wanted that life. I wanted to join them. I wanted to be free. But every time I tried, fear stopped me. Fear said, "You will make a mistake." Fear said, "They will laugh at you." And I listened to fear. One day I went to a shop. The man said, "Can I help you?" I froze. I wanted to say, "Yes, please. I want a notebook." But I just stood there. My face turned red. I felt hot and cold at the same time. I pointed to the notebook. He gave it to me. I paid. I walked out. That moment stayed with me. That night, I cried. I didn't want to live in fear. I didn't want to be silent anymore. I told myself, this is enough. I was tired of hiding. I was tired of being afraid. I wanted to change. I wanted to speak. I made a promise to myself. I said, "Tomorrow, I will start." The next day, I looked in the mirror. I said one word. "Hello." My voice was quiet. My heart beat fast. But I said it. Then I said it again. "Hello." I looked at my face. I looked at my mouth. I watched my lips move, and I smiled. It was just one word, but it was a start. I began to practice. I said simple words out loud. I said, "My name is..." I said, "How are you?" I said, "I am fine." The words felt strange, but I kept going. I talked to myself in my room. I whispered English while walking outside. I repeated the same phrases again and again. It felt silly, but I didn't stop. I knew I had to face my fear. I had to speak even if I made mistakes. I had to speak even if people looked at me. I had to speak even if my voice was not perfect. So I did. Slowly, step by step. One word, then two, then a sentence, then a full thought. Some days were hard. I made mistakes. I forgot words. I felt embarrassed. But I reminded myself, silence will not teach me. only speaking can help me grow. Even broken English is better than no English. That is how it began. With silence, with fear, with one small word in the mirror. But that one word changed everything. It gave me hope. It showed me a new path. And if you feel silent today, I want to say this to you. It's okay. I was silent too, but I found my voice. You will too. Just speak one word, then another. Don't wait for perfect English. Don't wait for confidence. Confidence comes after action, not before. Start speaking. That's how it begins. Chapter 2. Starting with simple words. After I said hello in the mirror, something changed. I realized I could speak. Even if it was just one word, I did it. I felt proud. I felt strong. I knew it was the beginning. But now I needed more words. I needed to learn how to speak sentences. So I started small. I did not open a grammar book. I did not study big rules. I just looked at the words I already knew, words I had seen many times, words like yes, no, thank you, please. These words were easy. These words were safe. So I practiced them. I said thank you out loud. I said please again and again. I stood in front of the mirror and said good morning with a smile. I waved and said bye. These were small words, but they helped me. They gave me power. I used them with my family. I said good night to my mother. I said sorry when I made a mistake. It felt good. I wanted to learn more. So I made a small list, just 5 words each day. Simple words like apple, pen, book, bag, phone. I looked at the objects in my room and said their names. This is a pen. That is a book. I have a bag. I spoke these sentences out loud, again and again. I used my phone to record myself. I listened to my voice. At first, I didn't like it. I sounded strange. I didn't sound like native speakers, but I kept going. I knew that this was my voice, and my voice was learning. It was growing. Day by day, it became stronger. Sometimes I forgot words. I wanted to say something, but I didn't know the word. I felt stuck, but I didn't stop. I said something simple. Instead of, I'm excited, I said, I'm happy. Instead of, it's delicious, I said, it's good. I used small words to express big feelings. It worked. Then I started reading short sentences. Children's books helped me. Sentences like, I like dogs, the sun is hot, she is my friend. These were easy to read and easy to speak. I read them out loud. I whispered them. I shouted them. I repeated them. I loved the sound of English in my own voice. I made flashcards. One side had a word, the other side had a sentence. Like this. Eat. I eat an apple. Run. I run fast. Write. I write a letter. I used pictures too. I looked at the card, said the sentence, and then acted it out. It was fun. I felt like a child. But I was learning fast. I also played games. I picked a word and tried to use it in 5 sentences. For example, pen. I said, this is a pen. I like this pen. The pen is blue. Where is my pen? Can I borrow your pen? It became a game, a challenge. How many ways can I use one word? This game made me creative. At night, I spoke to myself before sleep. I said, "Today I learned these words." I said, "Tomorrow I will learn more." I told myself stories using simple words. There is a boy. He has a cat. The cat is small. It sleeps on the bed. I smiled. I was speaking. Speaking small words gave me courage. I didn't need big vocabulary to express myself. I needed confidence. And that confidence came from success. Every time I said something right, I felt stronger. I believed in myself a little more. I stopped waiting for big progress. I started to celebrate small wins. One word, one sentence, one moment. That was enough. And I knew if I kept speaking small words every day, one day I would speak big thoughts too. So I kept going. I spoke more, I smiled more, I believed more. My journey had started, and it started with just one small word. Chapter 3. Talking to Yourself. Works. I remember the day I spoke to myself for the first time. It was strange. I was alone in my room. No one was there. I looked around. Then I said, "I'm learning English." I laughed. It felt silly. Why am I talking to myself? But I liked it. I felt free. There was no one to judge me, no one to laugh at me, no one to correct me. It was just me and my voice. And my voice was trying. My voice was learning. My voice was growing. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel shy. I could make mistakes and no one would know. That gave me courage. So I started doing it every day. I woke up and said, "Good morning." I looked in the mirror and said, "How are you today?" I picked up my toothbrush and said, "I am brushing my teeth." I poured water and said, "This is my glass." I looked outside and said, "It is sunny today." I kept talking all day about everything. At first, my sentences were short, simple, just 3 or 4 words, but then I started to add more. I said, "I am eating breakfast. It is an egg and some bread. I like it." I said, "Now I am reading. I want to learn a new word today." I spoke slowly. I made mistakes, but I didn't stop. This was my secret method, talking to myself. No teacher, no partner, just me. And it worked. It really worked. Because speaking is not just about talking to others. It is about using your voice every day, no matter who is watching, no matter who is listening. Sometimes I walked around the house and described everything. This is a chair. The chair is brown. I sit on this chair every day. That is the kitchen. I cook rice in the kitchen. I love rice. These are my shoes. They are black. I wear them when I go out. I used simple words, but I spoke like I was telling a story. When I was walking outside, I still talked to myself, but quietly, in my head. I saw a dog and thought, "That is a big dog." I saw a shop and thought, "I need to buy milk." I created English sentences in my mind. I didn't always say them out loud, but I thought them. I lived in English, even in silence. At night, I told myself everything I did during the day. Today, I woke up early. I ate breakfast. I watched an English video. I learned 3 new words. I talked to myself. I did a good job. This was my daily habit, my small review, and every night I felt better. Talking to myself helped me in many ways. I became more fluent. My mouth became faster. My brain became faster. I could think in English. I didn't have to translate. I just said the words. They came naturally. And that made me feel strong. One day, someone asked me a question in English. "What do you do?" And I answered, without fear. "I am a student. I study every day." I said it clearly. I said it confidently. I surprised myself. I smiled. I knew why I could do it. Because I had practiced alone, every day, with myself. So if you don't have someone to talk to, don't worry. You have yourself. You can be your own partner. You can be your own teacher. You can talk about anything. Your day, your dreams, your plans, your food, your clothes. Just talk. The more you speak to yourself, the easier it gets. You stop being afraid. You stop overthinking. You start speaking. And one day, when you need to speak to others, your voice will be ready. Your words will come out. Talking to yourself is not silly. It is smart. It is brave. It is powerful. So start now. Look around. Say one sentence, then another. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need big words. You just need to open your mouth. That's how I did it. And you can too. Chapter 4. Copying like a parrot. One day, I watched a short English video. The woman in the video said, "Good morning. How are you today?" Her voice was clear. Her smile was kind. I liked her. I wanted to speak like her. So I paused the video. I repeated her words. "Good morning. How are you today?" I said it just like her. Same words, same voice, same smile. It felt fun. It felt powerful. I played the next line. "I'm feeling great. It's a sunny day." I paused again. I copied her voice. "I'm feeling great. It's a sunny day." I listened. I spoke. I listened again. I copied her, just like a parrot. That was the first time I did something called shadowing. I didn't know the name then, but now I know. Shadowing means listening and copying. Like a shadow follows a person, my voice followed hers. It became my favorite way to learn, because it worked. I found short English videos with clear speech, not long videos, just 1 or 2 minutes. I listened to them again and again. I copied every line. I didn't think. I didn't stop. I just followed the voice. I copied the sound, the speed, the music of the words. I didn't worry about grammar. I didn't worry about understanding every word. I focused on speaking. I started with greetings. "Hi there. Nice to meet you." I copied. "Nice to meet you too." I copied again. Then daily things. "I'm cooking now." "Let's go shopping." "This is my favorite song." I copied them all. I didn't care if people thought it was strange. I was practicing, and I was improving. I felt my voice getting stronger. I felt my tongue moving faster. My lips knew what to do. My brain started thinking in English sounds. It was like learning a song. First, I didn't understand it. But after listening many times, I started singing it. Slowly, clearly, happily. I even copied cartoons. The characters spoke slowly. Their voices were fun. I said the lines with them. Let's go to the park. I'm hungry. That's a big balloon. I felt like I was inside the cartoon. It made learning feel like a game. Sometimes I stood in front of the mirror. I played a line. I copied it. I watched my face. I copied the smile, the emotion, the feeling. I wanted to not only speak like them, I wanted to feel like them. And slowly, I did. When I was tired, I still did shadowing. Just 5 minutes. I told myself, just copy 5 lines. Even on busy days, I did it. It became a habit, like brushing my teeth. My voice needed this practice every day. After many weeks, I noticed a big change. When I spoke, my English was smoother. My rhythm was better. My voice was more natural. I sounded more like the people I copied. And that made me happy, because I knew I was becoming a better speaker. Some people think copying is not learning. But I know the truth. When babies learn to talk, they copy, they listen, they repeat. They don't think about rules, they just speak. That's how I learned too, like a child, like a parrot. So if you feel shy, if you feel stuck, try this method. Find a video, play one line, copy it. Say it again. Don't worry about mistakes. Just copy. Your brain will learn. Your mouth will remember. And slowly, your English will become clear and confident. You don't need to understand every word. You don't need to study hard. Just listen. Copy. Smile. Repeat. It's easy. It's powerful. It's fun. You're not just learning words. You're learning how to sound natural. I started with one video, one sentence. Now I can speak better because I copied. Over and over again. And you can too. Chapter 5. Speaking in Real Situations. I practiced alone for many weeks. I talked to myself. I copied videos. I whispered English sentences in my room. I repeated words until they felt natural. But one day, I knew I had to take the next step. I had to speak in real life, with real people, in real situations. That idea scared me. My heart said, what if you make a mistake? My mind said, what if they don't understand you? But deep inside, another voice said, you are ready. Just try. So I listened to that voice. I started small, very small. I went to a shop near my home. I knew the man who worked there. He always smiled. That day I smiled back and said, hello. Just one word. He said, hello too. That was all. But my hands were shaking. My heart was beating fast. I felt like I had won a gold medal. The next day, I went back to the same shop. This time I said, hello, how are you? He smiled again. He said, I'm fine. And you? I said, I'm good. We both smiled. That was my first real English conversation. 3 short lines, but it gave me hope. Then I started speaking in more places. At the market I said, 1 kilo, please. At the bus stop I asked, is this bus going to the mall? At the park I said, nice weather today. These were simple sentences, but they were real, they were brave. and they helped me grow. Sometimes I made mistakes. I said the wrong word. I said it the wrong way. Some people didn't understand me. Some corrected me. And once, a person laughed. But I didn't stop. Because I knew, if I wanted to speak well, I had to keep speaking. I remember once I went to a cafe. I wanted to say, I want coffee with milk. But I said, I milk with coffee. The man smiled. He said, You mean coffee with milk? I laughed. I said, Yes, coffee with milk. We both laughed. That moment stayed in my heart, because it was real. I had spoken. I had been understood. And I had learned. These real-life moments taught me more than books ever could. I learned the rhythm of real English. I learned how people really talk. I learned that English is not just grammar and words. It is connection. It is emotion. It is life. I also learned to prepare before I went out. If I planned to go shopping, I practiced some sentences first, like, How much is this? Or, Do you have this in another size? If I planned to meet someone, I prepared things to say, Nice to meet you. What do you do? Where are you from? This made me feel ready. At first, I used short, safe sentences. Then I started adding more. I said, I like this color. It's beautiful. Or, This food smells great. What is it called? People listened. They smiled. And I felt proud. I felt free. Speaking in real life was not easy, but it was powerful. Every time I used English in the real world, I grew a little stronger. I became a little braver. I made one more step forward. So if you're still practicing alone, that's okay. But one day, take the next step. Say one word to someone. Just, hello. Then next time, say 2 words. Then a full sentence. Go slow, but go forward. You don't need to give a speech. You don't need perfect grammar. Just speak. In real life. With real people. That's how you turn practice into confidence. That's how you make English part of your life. That's what I did. And now, I speak without fear. Chapter 6. Making mistakes without shame. I used to be afraid of mistakes. Very afraid. Before I said anything in English, I checked every word in my mind. I asked myself, is this correct? Is this the right grammar? Will they laugh at me? And many times I stayed quiet. I said nothing. Because I was scared. One day I went to a bookstore. I wanted to ask, where is the English section? But I said, where English is. The man looked confused. He paused. Then he smiled and said, Oh, you mean the English section? This way. I said, Thank you. But inside, I felt bad. I had said it wrong. I walked out of the shop thinking about my mistake. That night, I sat on my bed and thought, why do I feel bad? I spoke. He understood. I got my answer. So why am I sad? And then I understood something big. I was learning. I was trying. And trying always includes mistakes. I thought about children. When babies speak for the first time, do they say perfect words? Number. They say sounds, then small words, then wrong sentences. And still, everyone claps. Everyone smiles. No one says, you are wrong, because we know Mistakes are part of learning. So why do we forget that when we grow up? Why do we feel shame when we make one small mistake? I told myself, from now on, I will not be ashamed. I will speak. I will learn. And I will grow, even with mistakes. The next day, I started speaking without fear. I said things wrong. People corrected me. I smiled and said thank you. I made grammar errors. I forgot words. But I didn't stop. I told myself, mistakes are teachers. Every time I made one, I learned something new. One day, I was talking to a tourist. I said, I am going to eat rice yesterday. He laughed and said, You mean you ate rice yesterday? I laughed too. I said, Yes, I ate rice yesterday. He smiled. We kept talking. That mistake became a memory. A happy one, not a shameful one. I started keeping a mistake notebook. Every time I said something wrong, I wrote it down. Then I wrote the correct way. I looked at the list sometimes and smiled. That list showed my growth, my journey, my effort. I also started listening to others who made mistakes. I joined a group where people were learning English. Some said words wrong. Some used the wrong tenses. But I never laughed. I never judged. I understood. Because I was like them. We were learning together. One time I spoke to a friend who was also learning. She said, "I'm not good in English." I said, "You're learning. You're trying. That's good enough." Her eyes lit up. She smiled. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. We all need kindness when we make mistakes. So I learned to be kind to myself. When I made a mistake, I said, "It's okay. It means I am trying." I started to enjoy speaking more. I started to feel free. The fear in my heart became smaller. My voice became louder. Now when someone tells me, "I'm scared to speak English because I'll make mistakes," I say, "Make them. Make many. Speak anyway." Because that's how we learn. I believe this with all my heart. If you're watching this and you feel shy because you make mistakes, please remember this. Mistakes are normal. Mistakes are good. They show you are brave. They show you are learning. Don't let them stop you. Let them guide you. Speak even if your grammar is wrong. Speak even if your sentence is not perfect. Speak even if your accent is different. Just speak. The more you speak, the better you will become. And one day, those mistakes will become memories, not fears. That's how I grew. That's how you will grow, too. Chapter 7. Learning Common Phrases. After speaking with many mistakes, I learned something important. I didn't need to learn big, difficult words to talk. I needed useful words. I needed real phrases. I needed the things people say every day. I remember one time someone said to me, "Take your time." I didn't understand. I thought, what do I need to take? I went home and looked it up. It meant, don't rush. Do it slowly. I smiled. It was a small phrase, but so helpful, so real. That day, I understood the power of common phrases. I started listening more carefully to people. I watched English videos. I wrote down the phrases people used again and again, not long, hard sentences, just simple ones, like, Can I help you? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Do you have a minute? That's a good idea. I'm not sure. Let me think. These phrases were like gold. I didn't need to create new sentences every time. I could use these ready-made lines, just like native speakers do. I made a list. Every day I picked 5 phrases. I read them. I said them out loud. I used them in my daily life. I didn't memorize grammar. I memorized real phrases. And something amazing happened. I started speaking faster. I didn't stop to think. I didn't worry about making the sentence. I just said the phrase. I remember I was in a shop. I wanted to ask about the price. I said, "How much is this?" The man told me. Then I said, "Okay, I'll take it." That phrase, "I'll take it," I had practiced it before. And now it came out easily. I felt good. I felt natural. Later, I was in a cafe. The waiter said, "Would you like something to drink?" I said, "Just water, please." I had learned that phrase from a video. Just water, please. Simple, easy, real. That's when I knew learning phrases was the secret. I also practiced small conversations. I said both parts, like this. "Hi, how are you?" "I'm good, thanks. And you?" "I'm fine, too." "Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you, too." I said these again and again. I didn't try to change the words. I just copied them. I said them with feeling, with expression. I said them while walking, while brushing my teeth, while waiting for the bus. I lived in these phrases. Sometimes I wrote them down in a notebook. I made categories: greetings, shopping, eating, asking for help, talking about the weather, talking about family. Each category had 5 to 10 useful phrases. I looked at them every day. I added new ones when I heard them. One day, a tourist asked me, "Is there a bank nearby?" And I said, "Yes, just around the corner." That phrase, "just around the corner," I had learned it 1 week before. I felt proud. I felt like I was becoming fluent. Common phrases helped me feel less afraid. I didn't have to think too much. I didn't need perfect grammar. I just needed the right phrase for the moment. It was like having a toolbox in my mind. When I needed to speak, I just picked the right tool, the right phrase, and used it. I want to tell you this. If you want to speak fast, don't learn every word in the dictionary. Learn the words people really say. Learn how to ask, how to answer, how to be polite, how to agree or disagree. These small things will help you speak like a real person. You don't need big words. You need smart words. You need real-life phrases. And you need to say them again and again until they become part of you. That's what I did. I still do it. And it works. Chapter 8. Listening more to speak better. One day I sat quietly with my headphones on. I wasn't speaking. I wasn't reading. I was just listening. An English podcast was playing. The voices were clear. 2 people were talking about daily life. I didn't understand everything, but I kept listening. I didn't press pause. I just let the words flow into my ears. And then something happened. I heard a sentence that I already knew. "I'm not sure about that." I had read that line before. Now I heard it clearly. Same tone, same speed. I repeated it softly. I'm not sure about that. It felt different this time. It felt real. That's when I understood listening was helping me speak. Not later, not someday, right now. In that moment, my mouth started moving just because my ears were working. That was the power of listening. I started listening more. Every day. Not just once, but many times. In the morning, I played short English videos while getting ready. At night, I listened to English songs before sleeping. While walking, I listened to English conversations. I didn't always stop to understand. I let the sounds touch my brain, again and again. Soon, I started repeating what I heard, just like a child does. A baby listens for many months before speaking. The baby hears, "Mama, Papa, hello, come here." Then slowly, the baby says those words. That's how I learned too. Listening taught me rhythm. It taught me tone. I noticed when people said, "I'm okay," their voice went down. When they asked, "Are you okay?" their voice went up. I copied that. My sentences started to sound more natural. Not just correct, natural. I also learned real-life English from listening. In books, people say, "I do not like it." But in videos, people say, "I don't like it." Or even just, "Nah, not really." I started picking up these little things. These little things made a big difference. I remember one time someone asked me, "Want to grab some coffee?" I was confused. "Wanna? What is that?" Later, I listened again and again. I learned wanna means want to. It's how people talk in real life. I smiled. I was learning not just English, I was learning the music of English. I also listened to English cartoons. The voices were slow, clear, and emotional. They helped me understand feelings through words. I watched one cartoon where a character said, "You did your best. I'm proud of you." That line stayed in my heart. I repeated it many times. It became part of me. And songs, they were fun, full of emotion. Even if I didn't understand the whole song, I sang along. I repeated the chorus. I danced, I laughed. I felt connected to the words. Over time, those words stayed with me. Sometimes I listened without looking at the screen. I closed my eyes and tried to imagine the meaning. Sometimes I wrote down the words I heard. Sometimes I just listened and repeated one line 10 times. I learned that listening trains your brain. It makes you faster. It makes you understand without translating. It teaches you how to speak by showing you how it's spoken. It prepares your tongue, your ears, your mind. Now, when people ask me, "How did you learn to speak?" I say, "I listened." I listened before I spoke, and that made all the difference. If you want to speak better, start by listening more. Not once, not twice, but every day. Listen to short videos. Listen to slow conversations. Listen to real people. Let the words go deep into your ears. Then speak them out. That's how I did it. I became a better speaker because I became a better listener. Chapter 9. Finding people to practice with. I had been practicing alone for a long time. I talked to myself. I copied videos. I listened every day. My English was getting better, but deep inside I wanted more. I wanted to speak with someone, a real person, someone who would answer, someone who would listen, someone who would talk back. The first time I tried, I was scared. I was sitting with a friend. She was also learning English. I looked at her and said, "Can we talk in English?" She smiled and said, "Yes, let's try." We laughed. We were both nervous, but we started. We didn't use big words. We said simple things. "What's your name? What did you eat today? I like your dress." It was fun. We made mistakes. We forgot words. But we didn't stop. That was the start of something big. From that day, we made a plan. Every evening we spoke English for just 10 minutes. No grammar rules, no judgment, just real talk. About our day, our food, our dreams, our problems. Slowly, we improved. Our sentences became longer. Our words became clearer. We helped each other. Then I joined an online English group. It was free. People from many countries were there. Everyone wanted to learn. We talked through voice chats and video calls. At first I was shy. I listened more than I spoke. But little by little, I started saying hello. Then short answers. Then full sentences. I met a girl from Japan. She was learning too. We became language partners. We talked once a week. She wanted to learn my language. I wanted to learn English. We helped each other. We made mistakes. We corrected each other. We became friends. That friendship made learning fun. I also spoke with my family. I asked my brother, "Can I tell you something in English every day?" He said yes. So every night I told him what I did that day, in English. I said, "I woke up late." Or, "I watched a video today." He listened. He smiled. Sometimes he helped me with a word. Sometimes he just said, "Good job." Speaking with others made me more confident. It made English feel normal. I wasn't just learning English anymore. I was living in English. I was using it in real life. And that made a big difference. Some people say, "But I don't have anyone to talk to." I understand. That was me too. But I learned something. If you look, you will find someone. A friend, a neighbor, a classmate, or someone online. You don't need a teacher. You need a listener. Even speaking with shopkeepers helped me. I said, "Thank you." Or, "How much is this?" These small talks gave me courage. One sentence at a time, I was becoming a speaker. I also found speaking partners on apps. Some apps connect people who want to learn languages. I joined one and spoke to strangers. At first it was hard, but then it became fun. I learned new words. I learned new cultures, and I helped them too. Speaking with people is not about perfect grammar. It's about connection, about trying, about sharing. It's about learning from each other. And it makes your English stronger than ever. If you want to speak better, find someone to speak with. A little every day. Even 5 minutes. Even simple words. Talk about the weather, your food, your hobbies, your dreams. Talk and listen. Make mistakes. Laugh. Try again. That's what I did. I spoke with friends, family, and people around the world, and with every word I spoke, I became better. You can do it too. You just need one person, one small talk, one brave moment, then another, and another. That's how it begins. Chapter 10. The day you spoke without fear. I remember that day. I will never forget it. I was walking down the street when a tourist stopped me. He looked lost. He asked, "Excuse me, can you help me find this place?" I felt my heart jump. This was it. A real conversation, a real person, a real test. For one small second, the fear came back. I wanted to say, "Sorry, I don't speak English," just like I used to, just like I had done many times before. But something stopped me. A small voice in my heart said, "No, not today. Today is different." So I smiled. I took a deep breath, and I said, "Yes, I can help you. Show me the address." The words came out so clearly, so calmly. I heard them. I believed them. He showed me the address. I looked at it, and then I said, "Go straight. Then turn left. It's near the big market." He said, "Thank you so much." I said, "You're welcome. Have a nice day." He walked away, and I stood there, frozen, not in fear, but in shock. I had just done it. I had spoken English, clearly, confidently, without thinking, without fear. My eyes filled with tears, not because I was sad, but because I was proud. That moment changed everything. It was the moment I had been waiting for. All the practice, all the mistakes, all the fear, all the small steps. They led to this day, the day I spoke freely, the day I believed in myself. I walked home with a big smile on my face. I looked at the sky and whispered, "I did it." That night, I told my family. They were happy. They said, "We are proud of you." And I said, "I'm proud of me too." After that, speaking became easier. I stopped thinking too much. I just spoke. I talked to strangers. I helped people. I joined groups. I made friends. I even helped others who were learning. I said, "Don't worry. I was like you. If I can do it, you can too." Now, when someone tells me they feel scared, I understand. I tell them, "You are not alone. We all feel scared at first, but keep going. One day, you will speak without fear, just like I did." That is the day everything changes. The day your voice is louder than your fear. The day you stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I just did." That day will come. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will come. If you keep going, if you don't give up. I'm not perfect. I still make mistakes. I still forget words. But now, I don't feel ashamed. I speak anyway. I try anyway. Because I know the only real mistake is silence. If you've watched this whole story, I want you to remember this. You are on your journey too. Maybe you're at the beginning. Maybe you're in the middle. But one day you will speak English without fear. I believe in you. So, speak. Practice. Listen. Copy. Talk to yourself. Talk to others. Make mistakes. Learn from them. Keep going. Don't stop. You can do it. If this story touched your heart, if it gave you hope, then please like this video, share it with someone who is learning English, and subscribe to this channel for more real stories and helpful lessons. Comment below, when will your no fear day come? Let's learn together. Let's grow together. Let's speak English without fear.